In the realm of human optimization, daily protocols serve as the scaffolding that supports long-term transformation. These aren't just routines or habits. They are scientifically informed actions executed consistently that reshape the way our brain and body function. Dr. Andrew Huberman emphasizes the idea that our biology thrives on predictability and repetition when it comes to performance, focus, and well-being. The human body is not random. It operates on rhythms and cycles, circadian, ultradian, hormonal, neurological. By aligning our daily actions with these natural biological rhythms, we begin to unlock energy, clarity, and discipline that previously seemed inaccessible. Morning sunlight exposure, for example, is not just a wellness tip. It's a neurological trigger that calibrates our internal clock, balancing cortisol and melatonin levels, preparing us for optimal alertness during the day and restful sleep at night. Hydration upon waking, movement within the first hour, and engaging in focused work during our peak alertness window are just a few elements of the protocol that synchronize with how our body is designed to operate. But daily protocols extend far beyond morning routines. They include how we eat, when we fast, how and when we train, and even how we wind down in the evening. Each of these activities, when performed with timing and intention, influences neurotransmitter release, hormonal balance, and the neural circuits responsible for motivation and reward. For example, delaying caffeine intake by 90 minutes after waking supports natural cortisol production and prevents the afternoon energy crash. Similarly, cold exposure or deliberate breath work can be used to activate the sympathetic nervous system, training the brain to be calm in the face of stress. These aren't just hacks. They are grounded in research from neuroscience and physiology, and when followed daily, they compound into remarkable mental and physical shifts. Dr. Huberman frequently explains that the brain is constantly evaluating our behaviors and outcomes. When we maintain consistency, especially in protocols that involve effort, the brain learns that we are in control. This perception of control is linked to increased dopamine release and improved resilience. Moreover, the discipline of sticking to daily protocols reduces decision fatigue and anchors us in a framework of intentional living. We become less reactive and more proactive. Instead of starting the day in chaos, we begin with clarity. Instead of letting emotions drive action, we rely on structure. The brain loves patterns. It seeks them, it learns through them, and it optimizes around them. When we build our days on protocols designed to support alertness, focus, movement, nutrition, and rest, we reduce internal conflict and resistance. Everything becomes more streamlined because the brain recognizes the familiarity and safety of the routine. In many ways, these protocols act like a silent coach in the background, constantly guiding us toward higher function and performance. They require no motivation once they become automatic. By simply initiating the day with specific cues, light, movement, hydration, we signal to the brain that it's time to engage. And when we end the day with cues of dim light, stillness, and breath control, we tell the nervous system it's time to shift into repair mode. These micro actions, although small, are immensely powerful when compounded over time. They are not shortcuts, they are systems, deliberate, science-based systems that give structure to chaos and turn potential into performance. Sleep is not merely a state of rest. It is a powerful mechanism through which the brain and body undergo vital repair, reset, and enhancement. Dr. Andrew Huberman emphasizes that sleep is foundational, not optional. when it comes to optimizing focus, memory, mood, metabolism, and physical performance. During sleep, the brain enters distinct cycles, including non-REM and REM sleep, each responsible for different forms of recovery and consolidation. Non-REM sleep plays a crucial role in physical restoration and immune system support, while REM sleep is deeply tied to emotional regulation, learning, and creativity. These processes are not random, but follow predictable patterns governed by the body's circadian rhythm, which is deeply influenced by light exposure, body temperature, and hormone levels. Sleep is not just about quantity, but quality and timing, and aligning sleep with natural biological rhythms can significantly boost cognitive and physical output. Dr. Huberman often discusses how the timing of light exposure is one of the most powerful levers for improving sleep. Early morning sunlight exposure, especially within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking, triggers a biological cascade that sets the internal clock and initiates the countdown to sleep later in the evening. This exposure boosts early cortisol levels naturally, promotes alertness, and suppresses melatonin during the day so that it can rise effectively at night. Avoiding bright artificial light in the evening, particularly blue light from screens, is equally important to support natural melatonin release and signal to the brain that sleep is approaching. These small behavioral choices, practiced daily, strengthen the body's sleep-wake cycles and make it easier to fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake feeling refreshed. Another key protocol for enhancing sleep quality involves managing body temperature. The body naturally begins to cool down in the evening as part of the circadian sleep cycle. Taking a warm shower or bath about an hour before bed can paradoxically help by promoting a drop in core body temperature afterward, which enhances the ease of falling asleep. Maintaining a cool sleeping environment, ideally around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, further supports deeper, uninterrupted sleep. Equally important is the avoidance of stimulants such as caffeine in the late afternoon and evening. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors, delaying the feeling of sleep pressure and impairing sleep quality, even if it's consumed hours before bedtime. Sleep also plays a central role in memory consolidation and emotional processing. During sleep, especially in REM stages, the brain replays experiences, solves problems, and reorganizes neural connections. This is why sufficient and high-quality sleep can lead to breakthroughs in learning, problem-solving, and decision-making. Dr. Huberman also highlights that chronic sleep deprivation has cumulative negative effects, such as reduced insulin sensitivity, weakened immune function, and increased emotional reactivity. The brain becomes less efficient at managing stress, focusing attention, and controlling impulses when deprived of sleep. That's why recovery through sleep is not passive. It is one of the most active and critical phases of peak human performance. Integrating specific sleep protocols such as consistent sleep and wake times, reduction of evening light, strategic use of temperature, and avoiding stimulants lays the groundwork for daily vitality, emotional resilience, and long-term health. Light is not just something we see. It is one of the most powerful forces that controls our internal biology. Dr. Andrew Huberman emphasizes that light is a form of nutrition for the brain, deeply influencing our mood, energy, focus, and hormonal balance. The human body operates on a 24-hour cycle called the circadian rhythm, and this rhythm is largely governed by light exposure. At the center of this system is the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, a cluster of neurons in the hypothalamus that acts as the master clock. This clock receives signals from specialized cells in the retina that detect light, especially blue light, and communicates this information to regulate various processes in the body. Exposure to natural sunlight in the morning activates the SCN, triggering a hormonal cascade that boosts cortisol, enhances alertness, and sets the timer for nighttime melatonin release, which is critical for restful sleep. One of the most important protocols Dr. Huberman advocates is getting bright sunlight within the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking. This early light exposure anchors the circadian rhythm, increases dopamine production, and significantly improves mood and cognitive function throughout the day. It is not enough to simply turn on artificial lights indoors. Natural light, even on a cloudy day, contains intensity and wavelengths that indoor lighting cannot replicate. This early sunlight exposure also trains the nervous system to become more alert during the day and more relaxed at night. In contrast, failing to get light in the morning or exposing oneself to bright light late in the evening can confuse the biological clock, leading to sleep problems, fatigue, and mood instability. Light also interacts with key hormones that control our sense of well-being and motivation. Dopamine, which is tied to motivation, focus, and pleasure, is modulated by light exposure to the eyes. More specifically, certain light exposure increases dopamine transmission in areas of the brain related to goal-directed behavior. This is one reason why people tend to feel more energetic and productive on sunny days compared to days spent entirely indoors. On the other hand, exposure to artificial light at night, especially from screens, can suppress melatonin and keep the brain in a state of alertness when it should be winding down. This interference with melatonin not only disrupts sleep, but also affects metabolic health, immune function, and emotional regulation. To harness light as a biological tool, Dr. Huberman outlines key timing protocols. Bright, overhead sunlight in the early part of the day initiates optimal wakefulness and energy. Dimmer, warmer lights in the evening help transition the brain into a rest state. If natural light is not available, light therapy boxes with 10,000 lux or more can be used as a substitute in the morning. Additionally, the direction and timing of light exposure matters. Overhead lighting in the morning signals daytime to the brain, while overhead lighting at night can disrupt the natural evening wind down. Managing light properly is not just about eye comfort. It is a central part of aligning our hormones, enhancing productivity, and achieving a state of physiological balance that supports both performance and recovery. Stress is often misunderstood as something entirely negative, something to be avoided at all costs. But according to Dr. Andrew Huberman, stress is not just a reaction, it's a tool. When harnessed properly, stress can become a powerful mechanism for growth, resilience, and adaptation. The body's stress response is designed to mobilize energy, sharpen focus, and increase performance in the face of challenge. This system, governed by the autonomic nervous system, involves rapid activation of the sympathetic branch, commonly referred to as the fight or flight response. While chronic, unregulated stress can be harmful, controlled exposure to stress in the right context can strengthen the nervous system, improve cognitive function, and increase one's capacity to manage future challenges more effectively. One of the most effective ways to use stress as a tool is through deliberate stress exposure protocols. These can include physical practices like high-intensity interval training, cold exposure, or heat exposure, all of which engage the sympathetic nervous system. When done intentionally and with recovery in mind, these stressors train the body and mind to respond with strength and control instead of panic and exhaustion. For example, cold exposure not only activates the stress response, but also increases dopamine and norepinephrine, chemicals that boost mood, alertness, and focus. Dr. Huberman often refers to this process as building a stress buffer, a biological and psychological resilience that reduces overreactions to everyday stressors. Equally important is the role of mental framing during stress. The perception of control during a stressful situation significantly alters the physiological impact of that stress. If the brain interprets the stress as voluntary and purposeful, as it would during a workout or breathwork practice, the release of adrenaline and cortisol is followed by a more efficient return to baseline. This contrasts with involuntary or chaotic stress, which keeps the system dysregulated for extended periods. Training the mind to reframe stress as a challenge instead of a threat alters the release of neuromodulators and reinforces a sense of agency. This mental shift is not just psychological. It changes the chemistry of the brain, supporting a healthier stress response over time. Breathwork is another practical protocol Dr. Huberman recommends for managing and utilizing stress. Fast, shallow breathing is a natural response to acute stress, but it can be reversed through deliberate, controlled breathing to signal safety to the nervous system. Techniques like the physiological sigh, 2 short inhales through the nose followed by a long exhale, can rapidly reduce autonomic arousal and return the body to a calm state. This form of breath regulation gives the individual a real-time tool for modulating stress without needing external changes in the environment. It's a direct communication line between the body and brain, reinforcing the idea that stress can be shaped, not just endured. Exposure to short-term, controllable stress also boosts neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and change. When the brain is pushed into a state of alertness through stress and then allowed to recover properly, it becomes more efficient at learning, memory consolidation, and emotional processing. This is why stress, when paired with recovery, acts as a stimulus for growth. The goal is not to eliminate stress, but to build a system that thrives in its presence. By approaching stress with the right tools and perspective, individuals can use it as a platform for upgrading their mental and physical performance. Focus is not a fixed trait. It is a trainable skill rooted in the biology of the brain. According to Dr. Andrew Huberman, the ability to concentrate deeply is governed by specific neural circuits involving the prefrontal cortex, dopamine pathways, and acetylcholine release. These systems can be influenced and strengthened through intentional behaviors and structured protocols. In the modern world, where constant digital stimulation fragments attention, learning how to train focus has become a critical aspect of human performance. The brain, through neuroplasticity, can be guided to sustain longer periods of attention by gradually increasing the demands plans placed on it while minimizing distractions. Focused work is not just about willpower, it's about aligning brain, chemistry, environment, and behavior in a way that supports deliberate concentration. One of the most effective tools Dr. Huberman shares is the concept of ultradian rhythms, natural cycles of peak mental and physical performance that last about 90 minutes. By aligning deep work sessions within these cycles, individuals can access periods of heightened alertness and mental clarity. During this time, eliminating distractions, turning off notifications, and setting clear goals helps amplify the engagement of the brain's attentional networks. Dopamine, a key neurotransmitter involved in motivation and reward, plays a central role in maintaining focus. When we set specific, time-bound goals and achieve them, dopamine is released, reinforcing the behavior and motivating us to return to focused states in the future. This creates a feedback loop that enhances the brain's desire and ability to concentrate. Another key strategy involves controlling the visual field. Dr. Huberman explains that narrowing the visual field, such as focusing on a specific point or object, activates circuits in the brain associated with concentration. This physiological tool can help bring the mind into alignment with the task at hand, especially when distractions are high. Conversely, panoramic vision, or softening the gaze to take in the environment, can be used during breaks to calm the nervous system and restore energy between bouts of focus. Alternating between narrow and wide focus modes not only helps manage mental fatigue, but also mirrors the natural functioning of the visual and attentional systems in the brain. The role of deliberate breaks and recovery periods is also essential in focus training. After intense focus sessions, engaging in low cognitive load activities such as walking, stretching, or practicing non-sleep deep rest (NSDR) protocols allows the brain to recover, consolidate information, and prepare for the next session. This strategic rest prevents burnout and improves long-term cognitive performance. Nutrition, hydration, and timing of caffeine intake also play into this equation. Avoiding sugar crashes, staying hydrated, and delaying caffeine by 90 minutes after waking all support better baseline energy and focus. Training focus also involves reducing multitasking and increasing single task depth. The brain is not designed to split attention between multiple streams of information. Instead, it performs best when directed with intensity and intention. Over time, repeated exposure to distraction-free deep work strengthens the neural networks involved in attention, creating a brain that becomes more efficient and less reactive to external noise. The process of training focus is incremental, and even short, focus sessions can begin to rewire the brain towards sustained mental engagement and higher cognitive output. Recovery is not the absence of activity. It is a biologically active process where the body and brain repair, adapt, and strengthen in response to the demands placed upon them. Dr. Andrew Huberman emphasizes that recovery is where real progress happens, not during the workout, the stress, or the learning itself, but afterward when the nervous system has a chance to integrate and rebuild. This applies not only to physical training, but also to mental and emotional exertion. Just as muscles grow stronger after rest, neural circuits become more efficient and resilient when given time to recover. The key is to approach recovery as a structured protocol, not as an afterthought. This includes sleep, nutrition, breath work, light exposure, and intentional rest periods, all carefully timed and executed to enhance regeneration and readiness. Sleep remains the cornerstone of recovery, but there are also powerful techniques that accelerate repair and improve overall balance in the nervous system. Non-sleep deep rest NSDR, such as yoga nidra or guided body scans, can shift the brain into a state of calm that facilitates restoration. These protocols have been shown to reduce stress hormone levels, improve cognitive function, and boost dopamine even in short sessions. NSDR can be especially effective after high intensity focus or stress periods, helping the brain return to baseline more quickly. Incorporating such practices during the day allows for micro recovery windows that improve energy, creativity, and emotional stability without requiring long breaks. Nutrition also plays a pivotal role in recovery. The body's ability to rebuild tissue, regulate hormones, and restore energy levels depends on nutrient availability. Dr. Huberman discusses the importance of timing protein intake around exercise, hydrating with electrolytes to support cellular function, and consuming micronutrients that aid in inflammation control and tissue repair. Recovery nutrition isn't about overeating or simply consuming calories. It's about delivering the right molecular tools at the right time. Intermittent fasting, when done strategically, can also aid in cellular cleanup through autophagy, another mechanism tied to long-term recovery and brain health. Breathing protocols further support recovery by directly modulating the autonomic nervous system. Slow nasal breathing with extended exhales activates the parasympathetic branch, promoting calm and recovery. Techniques such as box breathing or the physiological sigh help slow the heart rate and reduce cortisol, shifting the body out of a fight or flight state and into rest and digest mode. Regular use of these methods after high stimulation periods teaches the brain how to downregulate more efficiently, which enhances recovery speed and depth over time. Environmental factors also contribute to recovery quality. Exposure to natural light during the day helps maintain a healthy sleep-wake cycle, while dim light in the evening supports melatonin production. Reducing exposure to artificial blue light at night, minimizing noise, and creating a sleep-friendly environment all contribute to deeper, more restorative rest. Movement protocols like gentle stretching or low-intensity walks promote circulation and lymphatic drainage, aiding physical recovery without adding additional stress to the body. Mental recovery also requires time away from screens, space for reflection, and activities that induce positive emotion or flow states, such as creative expression or time in nature. These behaviors allow the prefrontal cortex to reset and recharge, preparing the brain for new challenges and higher performance